I'd like to welcome Elijah Poole, who's in second grade with Mrs. Moyer, and Evan Albertson, who's in fifth grade with Mrs. Bronowitz, to come to this microphone and lead us in the pledge. So if everyone could please stand so we can join them in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, boys. 1-2, roll call. Terry?
Mr. Brookhart. Dr. Faulkner.
Here.
Mr. Garman.
Here.
Mr. Hoffman.
I'm here. Here.
Mr. Reichard. Here. Mr. Reichard Jr.
Here.
Mr. Umbriak.
Here.
Mr. Vognetz.
Here.
Dr. Green.
Here. 1-3, March 6 minutes of 2024 board meeting. The board will take action to approve the meeting minutes from March 6, 2024 board meetings as presented.
Motion.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. And so the public understands we have moved to a committee of the whole. A lot of the discussion for the items that we'll be voting on for today.
We actually have board recognition next,
Oh.
if you were going to the committee announcement.
No, I was just letting
Oh,
the
great.
public know. So a lot of the things that we'll be voting on today have already been discussed by the board last Wednesday. So there'll be less discussion surrounding a lot of these because the entire board has been informed about what their content is. So moving forward, if you're more interested in hearing the discussion that the board is having surrounding some of these issues, the committee of the whole will be more educational in a lot of ways for you than the actual voting meeting. And I just want to let the board know that, the public know that, because if they feel like there's not discussion going on surrounding some of the items that matter to them, a lot of that discussion has already occurred. Okay? So
those were our pledge leaders. I will pause for a second. We're so thankful to have Ashley and Nina with us this evening as our student representatives representing our 9th grade class, and we look forward a little later in our agenda to hearing your updates about the high school. So thank you for being with us today. And then if you head to the next slide, you'll see that today the school board is choosing to recognize our winter sports. So the first team that we have with us this evening, if you go to the next slide, is our boys basketball team. They were the PHAC Division II champions and the District 4 Quad A champions. And if you go to an additional slide, you will see some specific individual honors. So congratulations to Carter Heath and Daniel Walker and Ethan Morrison and Luke Huron and Hayden Wynn. Certainly very impressive to have our entire starting 5 on the basketball team all recognized with honors. I know that Coach Grozier is here this evening, and so are some members of our team. So Coach, if there's anything you'd like to share, you're welcome to come use this microphone up here if you want to introduce any of the boys and celebrate any of the accomplishments. We appreciate you all being here today. We'd love to hear you. You. Congratulations, Coach Berger. Congratulations, boys, and thanks for being with us. The next team we'd like to honor is our girls swim team, who were District 4 champions. We also had many swimmers and divers go on to state competition. And so you'll see we had going on to state competition, and you'll see exact places up there. But certainly congratulations to our medley relay of Olivia Shen, Ava Ross, Hannah Bartholomew, Victoria Bartholomew, and Anna Hummel. Olivia Shen also placed individually, as did Hannah Bartholomew, so congratulations. Another relay team of Victoria Bartholomew, Zoe Check, Hannah Bartholomew, and Olivia Shen, and Olivia Hummel. Congratulations to Jimmy Zhang from the boys team who placed, and congratulations to Gavin Holcomb who placed in diving. We've got Coach Sticklin with us, and many of these swimmers are divers, so love for any of our swimmers and divers to please stand so we can honor you. And Coach Sticklin, please feel free to come up to the Ashley stand. And Coach, I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to share.
A group of girls, it's their have been undefeated into many state
Congratulations. Let's give them a round of applause. If you go to the next slide, I'm also super excited this evening that our competitive cheerleading squad is with us. So if you are a member of our competitive cheerleading squad, please stand so that we can recognize you. So just so kind of folks at home and people in the room know, Danville has had cheerleading as a club sport in the past, and this year was the first year to have competitive cheerleading for the district, and the girls qualified to go participate at the state level competition. So that's an impressive feat any year, but certainly an extremely impressive feat in year one. So congratulations, girls. We're really impressed. Coaches, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to share. Congratulations. That's very impressive. And then finally, I'd like to recognize Talon Walton, who qualified for bowling regionals. So I don't know. Oh, I'm so glad you got here. So congratulations. We're really excited and proud that you had that honor. So thank you for being with us. Anything you want to say about your season? I don't know if we have a coach here tonight. I'm not seeing a bowling coach here tonight.
But it was great. In my junior year, we had a really good team, and it was nice to make team regionals because my 8th grade year, the team was very good, and we didn't think we were going to be able to make regionals again, so I'm very glad we did. So.
Congratulations. You should be really proud. So we are certainly very proud of all of our winter athletes, and just congratulations for those folks that qualified for districts or beyond this winter. We know that it takes just tons of time and energy and hard work, so you should be really proud of those medals and honors, and you should also just be really proud of all the countless hours you put in when no one was watching, because because you don't get to a district championship without summer practices and shooting hoops in your driveway and early mornings in swimming pools and all of those kind of things. That's what turns into a district championship. So you should be proud, and that's going to serve you really well in life, all of that hard work you've put in. So thank you. That is the end of our recognition this evening, and you all are very welcome to stay for the entire board meeting, but we can also appreciate if you have other things to do, so you are welcome to also quietly exit if that's what you choose to do this evening. And I'll turn it back to Dr. Green.
We'll give them a moment to actually.
Congrats. Oh, really? Oh. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
A bling.
There's now substantially less people.
Well, absolutely.
Much gooder.
All right.
Much gooder.
2-2 reports. CMAVTS.
I didn't attend.
Neither did I.
Okay. Nothing to report.
Nothing.
CSIU.
We meet again tomorrow, and I met a month before that. One of the big things that stood out to me was they have, I can't remember if it's annually or every 2 years, essentially an audit, a company come in and audit their finances, and they have, I don't even know, dozens and dozens of grants from federal, state, and local levels, and there was not a single significant finding in the audit. Which is, I think, a substantial accomplishment when you're navigating that many budgets from that many different places. And it sort of left me with the impression that certainly on the financial side, at least, they have their ducks in a row. I think which is an important thing when we think about our money goes to them in supporting the CSIU, and that they also serve us and they do it diligently. So that was the only thing I think that really stood out from our meeting.
Okay. EITC.
Nothing. Haven't met yet.
Okay. Head Start. And CS Trust.
Nothing.
Okay. Simple. 3-1 enrollment reports.
All right, if you take a look, you'll see the enrollment in our programs, with the first number being where we are now compared to where we were last month. So you'll see very consistent enrollment at all grade levels. If you go to the next screen, you'll see our non-public enrollment, and then that's expanded specifically in Christian schools, as was asked at the last meeting. But here you'll see also fairly consistent numbers, at least across this school year. So the board had requested we dig a little bit deeper on sort of Christian school enrollment over time. So if you look at the next slide, there are enough Christian schools in the area that this actually carries over into 2 charts. But there certainly could at least be a hypothesis that COVID years may have something to do with people making, other choices. So I felt it was important as we were looking at these numbers to start a few years before COVID. So you'll see numbers starting in 2017-18 school year up until this school year where we're at. And then across the top, you'll obviously see the names of some of the Christian schools where students in the Danville community attend. Mr. Ryan, if you go to the next chart, you'll then see a continuation of Christian schools that students in the Danville community attend, and then total numbers. There are some that have stayed extremely steady. There are some that have had some variance, but that gives you a sense just in general the family is making that choice on an annual basis. Mr. Ryan, you could go ahead to the next slide. And
I have one question about the enrollment report.
please, yes.
The Columbia Montour VOTEC. I've been asking about this for a while. Is it too early to ask about applications, or has that process started?
I
Because
actually
our,
just got numbers today, and we have 31 students accepted for next year that those families are considering that acceptance. So it's not necessarily 31
Right.
locked in, if you will.
Okay.
and we have 12 students that were put on what they call like an interview review status, where there's something in their application, potentially an attendance concern or something, that was flagged by VOTEC, but they're going to sit down and meet with the guidance counselor and their family to see if that's a fit. And so we have 12 of those set up.
Okay, so they're not granting enrollment to students because of their attendance here.
They have a rubric that they use that does include that, and disciplinary faction are disciplinary measures as well. We do have 39 spots available. And they've filled 31 at this point in time with 12 maybes, if you will.
All right. Now, I'm just curious. I think it's something we should track.
I
You know,
agree.
We obviously made a major investment in the building project up there, and I know we had somebody come in and say, I know you're trying to get more people in VOTEC. I'm not. I don't really take any vested interest. Kids should go where they would like to go.
Of
as a
course.
board
But
member.
if they'd like to go,
Yes, we'd like to know what our numbers are because we saw that significant drop.
and I will turn it over to if we wanted to get started at the high school with your board report this evening. And similar to what Dr. Green shared about kind of deeper conversation at committee of the whole, we shared a lot of information at committee of the whole too, which is why we have a shorter superintendent's report this evening.
Okay, starting with the high school, I'll be honest with you, I felt pretty good about coming into tonight. And then I started listing everything that's coming due here at the high school these days with the long list of busyness. So we have a lot going on. It's an exciting time of the year, but we have, Mr. V and I are now knee deep into the scheduling process for next year, so that's exciting. We have exciting news to share with you at a future date about dual enrollment, but we are working with Lackawanna College on dual enrollment for this year, and of course continuing that into next year. And then all sorts of testing from Keystones to AP. I have a little thing here in the board report about Mr. Chris Johns, who just did a school day SAT, where we had 50 of our juniors who participated in that. But there's so much more. There are NOCTI assessments. There's national Spanish exam assessments going on this time of year. And then we have prom this Saturday, so that's coming up. We had our first meeting with the Community Foundation for our scholarship rollout as well. So we'll be preparing everything for our students, our senior students, and valediction. And it is that time of year as well that we are looking at graduation. So we are coming up with plans, been meeting with Mr. George, students, teachers, and getting everything ready for an outside graduation here in early June.
So as part of some of the culture events that we're doing here within the building, Nina and Ashley will talk about some of the ones we just concluded, one being our 8th grade transition event, which was a move-up event for our 8th graders. They got to experience some of the programs we do, and then also we had a clubs and activities festival or carnival, so to speak, in the gym where the students were able to gather and kind of experience some of the organizations that we have and sign up for clubs that they would want to be a part of when they get here for their 9th grade year. We also did some March Madness things, which again they'll highlight. And then for pre and post testing window, in order to encourage students and motivate them for the Keystone exams and some of the other exams they have coming up, we have some events and activities that we'll be doing with the students for obviously breakfast in the morning for some of them, so a special treat for them as they get ready for testing. But then after the test, we have a conclusion activity we're going to have for them as they finish up the Keystone window. window. And then finally we have Forge On Festival, which they'll highlight, which will be coming up at the end of May, which will be the conclusion of all of our tests, such as APs and Keystones, but then kind of a motivation for them as they go into the finals week. So I'll hand it over to Ashley then.
This past month, the Danville Junior Class SGA hosted March Madness, which was a fundraising event planned with Mr. Frank and Mr. Ingstead Williams that allowed students to participate in a fun basketball bracket. Students for their own teams, and they got to compete against each other in the gym during the flex period at the end of the day. And today was a championship game, and all students were invited to come watch. So the future events that the SGA is planning right now, so that includes graduation for the seniors and their senior class trip. Juniors are hosting prom this weekend. Sophomores are taking a closer look at fundraising, and freshmen are helping out at prom this weekend. Many of us will be volunteering to help out at baccalaureate, valediction, and graduation. In a couple of years, we will be graduating, so it's a good opportunity for us to experience these events to help us plan for our future times as seniors. This month, we are going to start planning the Forge On Festival. We will have a stand as a fundraiser and help plan out the academic pep rally. We are currently beginning the planning process for that event. We just want to say that this year, as freshman class representatives, we have gotten to plan so many fun events and fundraisers for our school. Since we have gotten the opportunity to meet daily during Flex, we have been able to work with our other freshman classers and the rest of the SGA. And we appreciate you taking the time to having us here and giving us the opportunity to create a positive school culture and a memorable high school experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Nina. We'll hear from the middle school.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to echo what Dr. Gump just said. I think is, we start looking at April and May at the middle school, and it becomes very quickly overwhelming when we look at all the different activities and events coming up. We also have quite a few tests going on this month and next month. We just finished our second day of the National Spanish exams. Less than 2 weeks from now, we're going to be entering the PSSA window. So, everyone knows that at the middle school, we test in ELA, math, and 8th grade science. And then in May, we'll be entering the Keystone Algebra window. So we're the lucky school that gets all the assessments. So one of the data points I'm going to highlight is, we did just finish a couple weeks ago our third round of CDT testing. Classroom diagnostic tool is what CDT stands for. And it's put out by DRC. They're very closely aligned to the PSSA tests, which is, the positive note is we have seen in some areas some significant growth from our winter window, especially when you look at our 6th grade, which has, historically, those of you that have been involved in academic affairs and remember from board reports, 6th grade's an area that we have put a lot of focus on at the middle school because, of some concerns with student performance at those levels. And while the percentages still aren't where I feel great about, I can say that I am happy that we've seen a significant amount of growth in the CDT performance. And we're hopeful that that will translate into growth in the PSSAs coming up as well. The one thing to note with CDTs, we've spent a lot of time this year focusing on the writing processes at the middle school, text-dependent analysis, which is a huge part of the PSSA scoring. When you look at ELA, CDTs do not measure writing, so I'm going to be very confident and optimistic that all the hard work that our teachers and students have put into really working on the writing process over this past school year is going to pay hopefully great dividends here in 2 weeks as we put all that work to paper on the PSSAs coming up starting April 22nd. So we have a lot going on, and it's an exciting time of year at middle school. It's a whirlwind. It's crazy, but it's really a lot of fun. So thank you.
Dr. Snover and Dr. Reinhardt.
Dr. Snover. Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to talk about something that I'm really excited about Liberty Valley. We are currently empowering our students at Valley to take ownership of not only their personal selves in terms of their data as well as behaviors, but also we are empowering our students to take ownership of our building as a whole. We recently recognized 16 fifth graders, and we recognize them for being positive role models. They're responsible, they're possessing leadership skills, and we had asked those 16 students to be a sort of a welcome committee. These students had welcomed parents into the building during our parent-teacher conferences. We are working with them to train them to give tours when our second graders come up to Liberty Valley. And our plan is for this to turn into an actual leadership club where we're asking our fourth graders and training our fourth graders to then become fifth graders who then become buddies for our third graders. So we are also currently starting a Reading Buddies program that our fifth graders had just done their first initial month of, where our fifth graders are going down to third grade and they are reading to some of the younger kiddos. The younger kiddos are reading to them. So it's just been a really cool opportunity to see our older kids take ownership and become leaders for our third graders to look up to. And one more thing in terms of empowering our students, I have been going on and working with our AV club for our morning announcements, and have been going on to our morning announcements periodically and showcasing actual graphs of our students. Not anything that would show who the students are or what they're doing, but actually showing numbers in terms of the month of the discipline referrals that we have, and then comparing them to the month after. And right now, the kids are. We have a challenge in May that if they can cut our discipline in half, they will have a month-long hat day. So fourth graders are really pumped about this hat day, and I have already seen a significant decrease in our discipline. It's significantly decreased just to wear their Danville hat. It's pretty cool. Really quick, another one I'm really excited about is our CDT data. We also just took our CDT test a couple weeks ago, and I am very happy to report that in every single grade and every single content, we have continued to increase in the proficient and advanced scores from CDT 1, 2, and 3. So like I said, every grade, every content. So again, we are really working hard. Our teachers are just doing an amazing job. And not only are they teaching exactly what the kids need, but the kids are on board. So our data is proving that not only are the kids getting what they need in the classroom, but our culture is changing to basically show our students that this stuff really matters to them. And it's showing that it matters to them. So just really exciting stuff happening at Valley.
So the primary school has partnered once again with the DAC. The second graders started taking swimming lessons this week. Each class goes down to the DAC for a 30-minute swimming class. We did this last year. It was very, very successful. Many of our students don't know how to swim, but it also teaches all of the kids water safety skills. So the kids were very excited about that this week. Kindergarten registration is open as of 4 o'clock today. We have 124 students registered for next school year. Kindergarten screening is next week. The parents were able to sign the children up for a 30-minute time slot to come in for screening, and that's taking place on the 16th, 17th, and 18th. So I'm working with the teachers to prepare for those screenings.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Geis.
This week at Head Start, it is Week of the Young Child, so celebrating early learning, the teachers, the children, the families, and everyone that works together. So every day this week we have guest readers coming in. We had Woody Wolf come on Monday for Music Monday, and his new name is Woody the Wolf now, thanks to some of the little kids would call him Woody the Wolf. And we had a police officer come in, and we had a famous Dr. Faulkner who came in and read Dr. Seuss like I have never heard it before. The kids giggled at him the whole entire time. So thank you so much. Dr. Need is reading a book tomorrow at 1:30. She will be coming in. So if anyone wants to come in and read, you have 2 more days to sign up. Anytime 8:45 to 2:30. They just love having guest readers in, and just it's a lot of fun. They are adorable. So we just have a really exciting, lot of community members coming in, lots of fun things going on in Head Start this week.
Thank you. And Mrs. Earp and Miss Wenrick in Intervention and Special Education.
Sure. So the past 2 months have been very busy. Really focused on being visible and building connections among our students and staff. I'm excited at the middle school. We just began building the new schedule. And I'm excited because it not only allows for our special education students to get the services that they need, but it also allows for our regular education students to be receiving some support, whether that be small group instruction, remedial instruction, prerequisites. So I'm excited for what that schedule will look like going into next year. This past week, we just started the new refined MTSS process at the high school, and we are just working through it this week. It's allowing me to see where we're coming from and what improvements and perhaps professional development we need moving forward to just break through some barriers so that teachers are clear of interventions that they can be providing to our students and how to improve some of these academic areas. And lastly, I think the next thing we're working on tackling is the 504 process and updating that and make sure that we're having annual checks with families and meeting with students so that they're aware of their accommodations and just cleaning up some of that process in general.
And as everyone's talking about end of the year activities, I'm starting to think about next school year. And we're looking at what we're going to use for universal screening tools for academic, social, emotional, and behavior. And we wanted to get that started now because the people who know the kids the best for elementary are the ones that are currently teaching them. So we're going to try to get something rolled out so that we can start interventions right from the start next school year and not have some lull in time as we start the school year. We're also looking to, we're all both meeting on a regular basis with tech to improve our forms within our data management system and making it less subjective and more data driven when we look at our choices and our referrals and how we're going to provide interventions to students. And that's pretty much it for elementary.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wenrick, and finally, Mr. Ryan.
So I want to thank Alyssa for leading into basically what's going on with technology now. So as you know, this part of the year, everything seems to kind of wind down, and as far as technology goes, as there's more activities and things. So this is a perfect time of the year for us to kind of basically take a look at last year and see where we could do things better. So this is a critical time for us to start doing the things, so next year's even better because there's always something, that we can go ahead and change or make better. It's from data,
Comment, agenda items only. All right. No presentations or outside guests. 6.1, playground equipment. The board will take action to accept the donation of playground equipment estimated at $50,000 from the 1994 Charles B. D'Agostine Foundation, Hummel Station, and Danville Business Alliance for the Danville School Community Park Project.
Motion.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart. Dr. Green.
Yes. 7.1, 2023-2024 field trips. The board will take action to approve the remaining field trips for the 2023-2024 school year as presented.
Second.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 8.1, DPS Spanish curriculum, second reading. The board will take action to approve the second reading of the DPS Spanish curriculum as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 10.1, finance reports, no action needed. 10-2, February, March 2024 finance reports. Attached. 10-3, February, March 2024 cash receipts. 10-4, bills for payment, February 29th, 2024 through April 4th, 2024. The board will take action to approve the bills for payment for February 29th, 2024 through April 4th, 2024 as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Reichard. Mr. Reichard Jr.
Abstain.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart. Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 10-5, food service contract renewal. The board will take action to approve the Mets food service renewal year cost reimbursable contract for the 2024-2025 school year with a guarantee to the district of $110,000 as presented.
How does that compare to last year? I think you told us. Lower because of cost and
Okay. Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart. Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 10-6, 2024-2025 meal prices and a la carte. The board will take action to approve meal prices and the a la carte prices for the 2024-2025 season as school year as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 10-7, K through 12 photography services. The board will take action to approve administration to execute the necessary agreements with Life Touch for district photography services. The agreement shall cover the time frame of 7/1/24 through 6/30/27, except for Liberty Valley School, which will begin 7/1/25 through 6/30/27.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 10-8, bank account consolidation. The board will take action upon recommendation of the business manager to close the Fulton Bank General Fund Account 4101 for consolidation purposes and to save on bank fees.
Motion. Second.
Who was first? I'm sorry.
Rich. Rich and Carrie.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 10-9, 2024-2025 CMAVTS budget. The board will take action to approve the 2024-2025 CMAVTS budget as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 10-10, Head Start Pre-K Counts Continuation Grant. The board will take action to approve the draft Head Start Pre-K Counts Continuation Grant for 2024-2025 school year as presented.
Second.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 10-11, RFP Athletics Band Extracurricular Transport. The administration will be seeking proposals for the athletic band extracurricular transport for the 2-year period of 7/1/24 through 6/30/26. This is due to the current agreement expiring at 6/30/2024.
Motion to approve.
Second. Jen, question quick, is this something we should not be involved in due to the fact that we could potentially apply for these? I don't think we're interested. I was just thinking more or less than the fact of. Correct.
Does that mean that you shouldn't second?
I think I could still second the fact that we're going to seek out people
Okay,
to
gotcha.
take our kids to extracurricular activities. Oh, yeah, yeah, she didn't say we couldn't, so. I just asked a question.
Terry.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Don't ground me.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard. Yes. Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
It'd be funny if I just abstained. Yes.
Better get a bigger truck.
Yeah, I don't think I could fit all the kids in the back of that one. 1012, refrigerated open display merchandiser. The board will take action to purchase the Advantco BVAC 36HC open display refrigerator for the medical school from the Webstront Store LLC at a total cost of $3,463.99 using food service funds.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 1013, voluntary student accident and interscholastic sports insurance. The board will take action to approve the volunteer student accident and interscholastic sports coverage for the 2024-2025 school year through Yoder Insurance Access Insurance Company at the cost of $8,607 as presented. This represents a $100 increase from the 2023-2024 school year.
Motion.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 1014, DASD Foundation. The board will take action to approve the necessary preliminary steps on part of the administration to properly and legally establish a not-for-profit foundation for the Danville Area School District.
Motion. Second.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 11.1, personnel consent items. Please take a moment to look over items 11.2 through 11.11 and see if there's any you would like to have removed to discuss individually. If not, the board will take action to approve the personnel items 11.2 through 11.11.
Can I ask a quick question? I think I already know the answer, but I think we publicly should say where we stand with the business manager process, interviews, applications, if we've received any. Timeline?
We currently have 4 applications. We've had conversations with at least one other candidate who just asked about timeline. We have interviews scheduled for next Wednesday evening, and I did invite board members if anyone wanted to observe that process. So it is possible we'll have a candidate's name before the board in May.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so, yep. Second?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Thank you.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. And I'd like to just say thank you to our current business manager. We're sad to see you go, but we understand why. But thank you for helping us the duration that you were here. 11-12, spring coaches. The board will take action to approve the 2024 spring coaches as presented.
Second.
Third, I mean.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard. Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 11-13, new hire, mental health specialist. The board will take action to approve Madeline Lanasso, am I in the- Lonzo, as secondary mental health specialist at the contracted yearly salary of $63,882, MS Step 1, effective August 15th, 2024. Is she here?
She is, yes.
Sorry for butchering your last name. If it was your maiden name, you would have cared much more. Well, welcome. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Let's make sure it passes.
Second.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 11-14, new hire, mental health specialist. The board will take action to approve Joshua Wagner as the mental health specialist at the Liberty Valley at the contracted yearly salary of $64,882, MS Step 3, effective August 15th, 2024. I should have messed up his last name just to...
Mr. Wagner's here as well this
There you go.
evening. So welcome to Madeline and welcome to Mr. Wagner.
Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a question. Is this the two,
These are both replacing.
okay, so it's not the
It's
ex,
not with exams.
These
Okay.
are new
All right.
positions.
Okay. Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard. Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
yes.
Mr. Brookhart. Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 11-15, new hire, biology teacher. The board will take action to approve the employment of Mandy McElhaney as a biology teacher at Danville High School at the contracted yearly salary of $63,882, MS Step 1, effective August 15th, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard.
Yes.
Mr. Reichard Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garmin.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes, and she's not here, right?
Very happy we were able to fill this, too. Science jobs are hard to fill.
They are, and we're really excited.
How many applicants did we get?
Had 4 applicants for that position, and it was a unanimous team decision to bring Mandy on board, so we're excited about that.
All right, thank you.
1116, new hire, elementary teacher. The board will take action to approve the employment of Taylor Leonard as an elementary teacher at the contracted yearly salary of $58,703, BS Step 1, effective August 15th, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Reichert. Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 1117, new hire, elementary teacher. The board will take action to approve the employment of Kristen Gola as an elementary teacher at the contracted yearly salary of $70,132, MS Step 8, effective August 15th, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 1118, new hire, elementary teacher. The board will take action to approve the employment of Amber Kraft as an elementary teacher at the contracted yearly salary of $76,658, MS Step 12, effective August 15th, 2024.
Motion.
Second.
Real quick question. How many applications do we have for elementary teachers?
So we had 32 applications. We interviewed 11 for a first round and 4 for a second round.
Okay.
It was a very strong application pool, and thrilled about these 3 new hires.
Teacher contract.
I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, yeah.
And just thank you to the administrative team. It takes a lot of time and effort to pull off an interview process, but I think it's one of the most important things we do. So I'm excited about the folks starting.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 12-1, Head Start Pre-K selection criteria. The board will take action to accept Danville Head Start's pre-K selection criteria as presented. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was second? Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert. Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 12-2, FID application. The board will take action to approve the district administration to execute the FID application for the 2024-2025 school year.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Brookhart. Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert. Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 12-3, expulsion. The board will take action to approve the expulsion agreement for student G1076 for 30 school days beginning March 30th, 2024 through May 13th, 2024 in accordance with the board policy number 233, suspension and expulsion.
Motion.
Second.
Dr. Faulkner.
Yes.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert Jr.
Yes.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Mr. Brookhart.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. 13-1, 2023-2024 bus driver list. The board will take action upon the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the bus driver list for the 2023-2024 school year as presented pending the receipt of all required clearances and documentation.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Garman.
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman.
Yes.
Mr. Reichert.
Abstain.
Mr. Reichert Jr.
Abstain.
Mr. Umbriak.
Yes.
Mr. Vognetz.
Yes.
Dr. Green.
Yes. Just want to note, it's not 7:30, but it's going to be around 8 o'clock.
I'm sorry, I messed up a little bit.
said
Mr. Brookhart.
I did say 6:30. We're going to travel backwards in time.
Mrs. Faust forgot to let Mr. Brookhart vote on it.
And Dr. Faulkner.
The bus drivers are fine.
Bus drivers,
We got
okay, Dr.
excited,
Faulkner.
last item.
Yeah, I was really excited when I looked at the time. Yeah.
No problem.
And you get to vote, Dr. Faulkner.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Yes, yep.
All right, 14.1, board concerns and items for the next agenda.
I have a few items.
Fire away, bud, as long as you don't take an hour.
I'm not going to take no hour.
I know, that's why.
All right, so last week, there was questions about the hiring process. I believe that we need to look at the policy on the hiring procedure as a board and put something forward that we could all agree on as a board. The other thing is the budget and the tax increase talk. You know, I told you guys I'm going to dig into the proposed budget that was presented in February at our finance committee. Dug in, there's concerning numbers there. I believe the deficits can be cut just by looking at the numbers, going over the historical data that was presented to us. And last thing, I asked for a cost analysis on bus runs at the finance committee back in February. Haven't received a report. I was told it was moved to long range. I asked for the report, not to move it to another committee.
Sir, I know the hiring came up last week. I didn't hear everything you said, Richard. I'm sorry. I was writing things down myself. Do we have a policy specifically dictating our procedures for hiring? Because I know a couple things. Number one, I know that only the board can hire and fire, obviously. I know that the superintendent probably has something in her contract saying she makes a recommendation. I don't think there's anything before that that we're bound to, unless someone knows something different in policy or in code. Jennifer's are pretty open to do it as we choose to do it, but that's what I understand, if somebody knows differently.
Generally, you do have policy 304.
Yeah.
The concerns
Yeah.
look and see if there's
I didn't bring it up, but the reason I'm speaking on it is because I've talked about it for several years, that and having experienced it, boards always take that position, and I shouldn't say always, often take the position we're hiring by voting, but the information and the opportunity to meet the candidates we sometimes don't have. I know districts do it differently all over the state, so I guess it's a good conversation topic. I have not said a lot about it with this board, but I did the last time I was on the board, because it just seemed to, I don't know, just not have a process. At least that was the way it felt. So, I don't know, Richard and Daryl, you brought it up. Where you guys going? What are you looking for?
Well, I mean, when I wanted to be a part of the board, my interview was basically to come in front of the board and state my reasons for wanting to be a board member, and then you guys kind of decided if I was a good fit for the board or not. I know Dr. Need and the hiring committee give their recommendation, but like you just stated, I mean, I get a name on my agenda,
Right.
what they're going to start at for a salary, what some of their experience is as far as their education level, and that's all I get. Now, I know I can come to the meeting, and we have been invited to come to the meeting, but again, that's in an observation process where if I have questions of my own to ask, I can't ask them.
I think unfortunately, part of the realistic process is that most of us, this is something we do in addition to the other jobs that we do. And there were 11 applicants for that they interviewed for the elementary school position. And logistics of getting us together to participate in all 11 interviews would make it effectively impossible.
Well, I wouldn't be looking to talk to all 11 of them. You obviously would make a recommendation from the committee. So bring me one, bring me two.
Yeah, so the issue that I start to run into there is part of the reason we have the administrators is to give for them to be the experts in the field who's most qualified. I don't know about you, but I can't bring an expertise into hiring an elementary school. Our job is to make sure that we have the right administrators in place who know enough to know what they're doing in order to pick the appropriate candidate for the position. I don't think I personally bring anything special when it comes to interviewing an elementary school. And I would argue that even in the context of some of the ones that I've sat in, I was woefully underqualified to be there, except for to be paying attention to the person and how genuine they were. I certainly wasn't necessarily qualified to be able to tell you whether their underlying credentials were the appropriate or the right ones. And so one of the things I would be concerned about is that it would become overly unwieldy if we insisted that we have to be involved in every part of the process. And it sort of defeats the purpose of having actual experts who we've hired as administration in order to cut down. Now, it doesn't mean we can't participate. And I know that several people have participated in key interviewing parts of process. And just understand, we legally can't interview people in front of the public. So it's a little different when we're interviewing you for the board, right? So I guess we would have to be really thoughtful about what we actually wanted to accomplish by doing this. And part of it has to do with trust in our administrators, and our administrators making the right decision. It is right. They do come to us with the recommendation. They're supposed to make the recommendation. And we have to understand whether we bring something additional to the process, that it's required for us to have some portion of intervention, or whether we can actually trust administration with what they're doing. I mean, I know where I come down, but everyone may not come down in that same place. And so I'm just going to spit that out there.
We're seeing administrators now at the last level. We brought 2 in, correct? I'm not quite seeing why they're different. I understand and I agree with you. I don't want to be in every interview. I'm not going to be in every interview. It's too time consuming.
Yeah.
But I don't see the harm in bringing a final candidate or 2 in front of the board. If the board chooses not to attend, they don't have to attend. We do it in executive session, I think, because as you said, I'm not sure it's illegal to interview people in public, but I don't know if anybody does it. Jennifer, is it? It's not illegal, is it? I would recommend it. Yeah, I mean, there's, right.
Yeah.
No, and I know this is a departure, and it would be a little bit out of the ordinary. I spent from 2015 to 2019 complaining about hiring. I haven't said a whole lot about it lately. I don't know if it's because I just gave up or what, but and I don't see what you do. I've not been nearly as cognizant of what's going on in the personnel process, but there's a lot of things that I'm happy that we hired the people we did. We hired a elementary teacher at step 12. Those are things that boards should be talking about. She may be fantastic. She probably is. I don't know her at all. But we have an $800,000 deficit. I think we've been doing some things that we needed to do contractually and programmatically, but oversight's our role. That's what we're here for. And the school code gives us the responsibility of hiring people. So the level of involvement we want to have as a board is up to us.
And
as long as we're I'm sorry, just
No,
one
go
more
ahead,
thing,
go
and then
ahead,
I'll turn
go
it back
ahead,
to you.
go ahead.
As long
Go
as
ahead.
we're respecting the fact that contractually you make the final recommendation. Doesn't mean we have to follow it, but you do. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and like Sandy said, I mean, I'm on the same boat of I don't know a good elementary teacher from a bad elementary teacher, but I think it's more of the fact if there's, like he said, if there's 2 or 3 people, it's more the fact of putting a face to a name and just them giving us a brief history of them. You know what I mean? Just like he said, you know, step 12, she's probably a great person. She could walk in the door now and none of us know who she is. Besides people, you know what I mean?
I will point out a piece of that opportunity is available if you want to go to the interview.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So
We have put together some careful hiring procedures that were not in place when we came into the district, and I think it might help if we brought those to our next committee of the whole, so you could see the process that we go through, and we do that so we have extreme consistency in every single hiring across the district, and then that would give you all an opportunity to weigh in if there's particular places that you want to be involved or levels that you want us to communicate. There's frequent hiring going on, as you can see from board agendas, so we would certainly, and I think we could discuss it more at committee of the whole, appreciate your feedback to know like the types of positions with which interviews you'd like to be invited to, Right now, at this point in time, in that second round, when we bring 3 or 4 candidates, we are having those people do a teaching sample for us. So, not that board members might not be interested in seeing that, but that is certainly something we'd expect of our administrative team to like understand what great instruction looks like, what they're looking for in the classroom. So, we're looking for very particular things when we're watching a teacher in action and using the fact that we have students on campus right now and we're trying to hire early to get those best candidates.
I think the debate is about, the question is about the policy, right? So like, right now, how involved we want to be or not want to be, that's a philosophical question, I think. But if the question is, should there be policy or not, or I think that's what we're asking, right? Do we need to make a policy so that we're not making a decision about this is what interests me, so I go to this interview, or that's what interests me, so there's a policy that sort of clearly delineates what exactly the board's involvement should or shouldn't be. At least that's my understanding of what's being brought up. That makes sense to me. Now, of course, you don't want to make policies that are too cumbersome or too limiting or restricting, and I'm not even sure if it makes sense to make a policy, but it sounds like that's like the crux of what this is about. Is that right?
I think
Yeah, pretty much.
I think some of what I'm hearing, though, is more the fact that we're voting on people that we have no actual direct connection to and have never seen. And that's what I'm hearing.
Sandy, we have access now, right? We can go and watch.
You can go to every single one.
correct.
I mean, that's a piece of what I was pointing out. I would be very reluctant to make it mandatory to have board members there, because even with some key interviews, it's been difficult to get people there, and oftentimes it's just me. So.
And like you said, that, you know, you have that opportunity yet, but like the one was 32 applicants and they did 11 interviews.
Yeah.
Like I have enough trust in them that I don't want to see 11 people interviewed. You know what I mean? Like I have no interest in, but like going to that, you know, they narrow it down to, you say 4 people, and okay, well, I just watched 11 interviews. What 4 people are these? I don't, you know, I wouldn't, but like there's enough trust where like, hey, these are the 4 people out of 32 we picked. Here they are. You know, these are the ones you're going to be voting on.
So I will tell you, I have watched the process now multiple times, and watched the committee discussions, and that there is an actual process that's set out. And they do a fairly good job of having a discussion and sort of iteratively eliminating candidates until they get to the last one. I mean, I think it may be worthwhile, if we're really interested in contemplating whether we want to change this process. The business manager interviews are coming up. I think it would be worth whoever can attend the business manager interviews to attend them, to see what the process looks like, and to have administration bring the policy, their process. Yes, to us.
Yes.
Since the board
Yeah,
already
not a
has
policy, but
one.
regulation.
I think also, what level are people interested?
We do hire.
I think the,
Those are 2 very different things.
I think the question is that, I think the biggest thing is we want to see the final 2 candidates. Yes, you guys make the recommendation of who you want to hire out of those 2 candidates. And if we decide at that point between who we would want to see when it comes up to vote.
What we would do is just keep what you're doing right now as it is, but bring the final 2, which is what you're doing with administration, and then, so we don't have any nefarious intent, disclose any conflict, relatives, things like that, as board members if we're there, and we'd essentially be adopting the same process as we are for the administration. Be the final 2 candidates before one of them's put on the agenda based on Dr. Need's recommendation to the board. Is that kind of what you guys are saying?
That's where
capturing
I'm
I mean, again, to go back to the statement you made earlier, it is our job to hire and fire people.
And only our job.
And I would like to, and I would like to have the opportunity to be involved in that.
Sometimes I question, not Dr. Need, but sometimes I question if superintendents understand that. I was a superintendent for a long time, 13 years. We invited the board into every interview, always. We thought it was healthy.
And by no means am I stepping on anybody's toes and questioning anybody's judgment. I just feel that, you know, getting this appointment, it's my responsibility to be a part of things that I should be a part of.
I guess my concern, once again, is how many people did we hire today? I mean, we already spend a fairly significant amount of time here doing things, right? And we already have the opening that if you want to go to the interviews and see those candidates, especially during second rounds, that you can go do that, right? So the option is already present. So I guess the question becomes, what additionally am I gaining here? And what does that change in process look like? Because I'll be very honest with you, I don't have any interest in having a 2.5-hour executive session to meet every single candidate when I'm bringing no additional expertise to between those two candidates, which one I should choose. When I have, you know, a panel of administrators who we've hired, the principals and the rest of our administrators who've spent, you know, numerous hours interviewing these people and going through these applications and coming up with who they think fits the best spot. Because I'll tell you, oftentimes for say the elementary position, I don't even think I fully understand which kind of teacher would fit best in that spot. We have people who actually deal with that every day and would have that understanding. And so I guess I'm just trying to understand what the process would end up looking like. Not saying we wouldn't do the process, but you already have the opportunity to go see them, hear them, and hear every single interview if that's what you want to do. And in fact, we can have administration send you the time and the date for every single interview we do, and you can choose which ones you want to go to see the candidates. It's not clear to me that I need to see every single one of these candidates. There are select candidates which I've chosen specifically to go see, and most of them are in administrative or higher level positions that have a direct effect on how the board functions from my perspective.
I have directly invited the board to all administrative interviews, and moving forward, I can let you know every round of interviews we have for any positions so that the board could make a choice to be at any level of interviews. So certainly can keep you abreast of any of those that are happening and let you know if it's a first round or a second round.
And I'll add that having watched the interview process, observed the interview process myself, it is pretty systematic and, like Sandy described, an iterative process, and everybody's involved, and it's not like it's a well-run process from what I have observed. I don't have a lot of interest in being in all of the interviews either, but I do understand the question of do we have to have a policy? Should we have a policy or procedure to outline that?
So, I think overall the question is not to go sit here through every interview. We are questioning if we could bring the final two candidates. Right. And as elected officials by our citizens, we are to provide oversight and we need to know, okay, yeah, so-and-so were being recommended for the job. We don't know who they are. We didn't see the final, we didn't see the questions. Like, we didn't hear the answers. We didn't.
But I'm pointing out to you, you have the opportunity to do that if you want to do that.
I think making the change that we are invited to every level of interview is not a bad idea. But to force it to, we will be in executive session all the time.
Logistically, one logistic concern I'd have about an executive session, and I'd be very happy to communicate when we're having interviews, but like if this evening we brought in the two final candidates for each of those positions, we actually wouldn't be able to board approve those positions because we then wouldn't have made an offer to someone, let them speak to their family, like finalize salary. So we'd have that round, and it would be a month till we could actually hire those people. So we try really hard to plan interviews such that we can bring candidates before the board, like at a particular time. But I certainly think,
well, you do it during the work session.
Yeah, and then also on the other hand is, we're asking to come up with ideas, how to finalize, to get this set.
What do you imagine this looking like? Because I would have to understand what it looks like. Because what I see from here is that I have the opportunity to go to every single interview if I want to. I have the opportunity to go to every single second round interview if I want to. If I view that kind of oversight as my job, I should make the time to go to all of those.
So yes, we're able to go through there, but we're also advised that we're not allowed to go as a whole because it would be a quorum.
So we certainly could use our committee of the whole model to bring candidates the first week if that is the direction the board wanted to move, and then vote on them the next. That would give us time to, be in touch with candidates.
If you have interviews before the committee as a whole, you could bring us your recommendation.
We can have this session at committee of the whole if that's how the board wanted to move in terms of actually meeting final 2 candidates for all the positions that we have in that way.
Come into a vote, actually. That's what it sounds like.
I mean, like I said, if you have a recommendation before our committee of the whole for a position that we're looking to fill, if you bring that person here, so, you know, we have an opportunity.
It would have to be an executive session for personnel reasons, but it could be that evening when we're all gathered.
Yes.
I mean, I once again will express the concern. I don't want to spend 2 hours in executive session. I mean, I'm still unclear what we're gaining here. You have the opportunity to meet these people if you want, if you make that choice. And instead, what we seem to be doing is pushing, and you have the opportunity to view the whole process. You have the opportunity to hear every single answer to their questions. You have the opportunity to see their entire application packet if you decide to go to the interviews. And, you know, we already spend a substantial amount of time going through this process. We've never run into a situation where every single person has wanted to be at the interviews. If it is, I guess we would have to do something special, but I'm just trying to figure out what we gain, except for, because once again, if you had brought both those elementary school for that biology, I wouldn't know which one was better. And that's the honest truth. I don't bring that level of expertise. So all I'm doing is seeing a face. And so we're adding a substantial amount of time to the process so you can see someone's face. I mean, so I guess I'm very unclear on what we're adding. If you want to see them answer questions, we have the opportunity to do that. I mean, am I mistaken in this? And I don't mean to sound a little wee bit adversarial, but, you know, I already spend, 15 hours a week. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gaining by adding a.
I don't think you sound adversarial.
Yeah.
I just don't think we agree. Sorry, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that may be.
What Dr. Neat said, if they came to the executive session, like just for example, if 2 of them for one of these jobs came to the executive session tonight, we couldn't vote on them tonight then. It had to be pushed back.
Correct.
Because they have to accept the offer.
Well, that's
I got
why,
things.
So they accepted the offer, and a teacher comes here, and we all vote no, they don't get the job anyway.
No.
Also keep in mind that Sunshine Act requires the agenda to be posted 24
Yeah.
hours in
Yeah, I get-
advance.
yeah, I mean,
So again, like,
yeah.
that stuff has to be kept into consideration, that you would then have to make those determinations a week in advance, so at the committee session.
But there
So-
would have been 12 people at this executive session, right?
Yeah.
no, we are asking for the 2 finalists for,
Recommendation?
Yes, we
Yeah, for
hired
each
6
job.
positions, so it would
Okay.
be 12 people.
I think we're overstating the time commitment here.
yes.
How many teachers do we hire, and when do we hire them? It's not like we're going to do this every month. We hire them in the spring, right? And we don't normally have 18 retirements like here. That's an outlier.
Well, it depends on what you want to look like. What you want it to look like in executive session will in part determine how much.
Depends how long you want to put them in front of you as well.
Correct.
I don't think,
Yeah.
I feel the way I'm hearing other people feel, that I'm uncomfortable with people going on the agenda, and I have no idea who they are, nor do I feel like I have sufficient information to make a decision to vote on them. And I go back to the school code because I lived it. It says we're responsible for hiring. I think we need to take that responsibility seriously. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, so is it, what I'm hearing is, do you want to be, so those have an opportunity to observe at that level?
I'd like to see it done, if that's the path we're going. I can live with either one. But the way we did the administrative position, the last one, I think is, or to bring the final candidate in themselves, and if we find it acceptable,
That
move
was
forward.
the other one I was gonna actually ask, is I can appreciate, I can certainly. Dr. Need, myself, ability incredibly seriously. That's a logistical question.
I
So is
think
it, we
I-
bring final candidates to you?
I
to
think we
present,
can-
And if you find them unacceptable, then
I think we're all intelligent enough to know that there could be outlier situations, I believe. So if that's the case, then I think that's something you tell us. I think hopefully we're all reasonable enough to accept that. So,
Like in many of these cases, we've come to a unanimous decision for a candidate. So in those cases, could we bring a candidate for you to meet
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
decide?
Absolutely.
If we didn't feel like there actually wasn't number two. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we've tried really hard to get to a point, and if we're not in a unanimous point, to make another round so we see them do something else. I don't know.
I would call it not preferable, but acceptable. That makes sense.
I think if oversight is the goal too, like you mentioned, it would be helpful for folks to dig into what the hiring procedure actually looks like. So we can, I mean, that to me, that is a big part, that is part of our oversight. Make sure that the procedures that are outlined for that process are ones that make sense and that would land with, and would lead to a decision that we could agree with.
So there is a procedure in place? Okay, do we have it?
Well, it was shared,
Okay.
yeah, new board
All right.
members
I
may
thought
not have
so.
seen
I
that. It
thought I
was
remembered.
shared, that was one
And
of the very first things we
It's a very
created.
centralized process now, correct?
It is.
Because that was always my complaint the prior 4 years, is that it was very decentralized. Meaning there was really no focal point administratively. It was kind of run out by the buildings, and people always seemed to be from the same.
Centralized to the point that Mrs. Faust
All
gets
right,
every
good.
single
Yeah, I
application
got
that
it.
comes in.
All right, I understand. Okay.
The question there is it procedures or policy?
Those are
And
procedures.
so it's
Those
not
are
a
the
policy.
administrative regulations. Those would not,
And
that
so
wouldn't be policy level.
one of our responsibilities is to direct by policy. So I would like to see something worked up, talked about, and voted on moving forward as
That
a,
actually
as a
makes-
hiring
then if it
policy.
doesn't have a majority vote, it doesn't move.
Yes.
To that end, what you can do is you can make modifications or propose revisions to policy 304,
Yeah.
because that relates to employment of district staff, and then have administrative regulations that also correlate with that.
Doesn't have a majority, we don't do it.
Yep.
I
Are
can
you-
live with it either way. I just thought it was a discussion that needed to be
Yeah.
held.
And I think that's what I was trying to get back to, the crux of it, our role in policy only, right? Not in forming the procedures, but making sure the procedures make sense. I feel like if folks have ideas about or revisions for what they want that policy to look like, then of course they can bring those forward and we can figure out if it does make sense or not.
I just want to make sure that whatever we do addresses their needs if we're going to
Yeah.
make a change. I don't want to make a policy change just for making a policy change. It's got to make
Yeah, of course.
the members who
that-
are expressing their concerns more comfortable if we're going to do that.
And that's why we're having a discussion about it.
So then I guess for the individuals who would like to see something different in this context, they should look at policy 304 and suggest revisions. I mean, we have a precedent for doing that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any issue with that.
I also don't want to misconstrue that this is like a trust issue or anything like that. I mean, we have,
No.
we've
not.
gotten incredible candidates and teachers, administrators, obviously, look at this squad. So, I mean, just to say that out loud is not a trust issue. I think the board is very pleased with the way things are headed in the district, and that's all I want to say out loud.
Madeline, right? We're thrilled to have you here. And we usually get along. We usually really do get along pretty well.
I don't know.
It's not a
Wayne.
mistrust
I
issue.
I didn't see the other candidate, so I'm not so sure. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
You're in a great place.
All right, so we have a path forward at least, it sounds like. Are you satisfied with that? Okay. I just want to make sure yeah. So look at policy 304, suggest, do a markup, see if there are things that you'd actually want to change in that context that would be useful. That make sense?
Yeah.
Great, so we have a path forward. Okay. Bob?
Yeah, and discussing on the agenda for next month, totally different subject. You know, my background is in healthcare. And, you know, being on the board and being interested in education and being interested in young people, because we're trying to educate people and give them a well-rounded education so that when they graduate high school, they're prepared to get a job, you know, be a good member of society and be able to communicate and whatnot. So when I look at the picture, the full picture of education, I see a major void, and that major void is in health education. Now, I know that we touch on health in certain areas, but if you look at the statistics and you look at the health of our young people and of really the population in general, not good and getting worse. So I've gone over this in the past. I've had meetings with Geisinger. I've had meetings here with individuals, with faculty and staff and coaches and whatnot concerning health education. And in fact, what I'd like to see is a K through 12 health education that would start with basics and go all the way through, and by the time they graduate from high school, they really have a working knowledge of how their bodies work, because they don't teach structure and function to the degree that they should. Students don't know how their bodies function. They don't know where their organs are or what their organs do. They should know that. The most important thing in life is your health. If you don't have your health, what do you have? So we're missing that whole thing. We touch on it, but we're not specific on it. And it should be in the forefront. And everybody that I've talked to, including physicians, say that this is very important. Everybody I talked to said that it really should be a part of the curriculum. And I understand there's a lot of hoops to jump through and whatnot, and there's money involved. But I think if a curriculum were in place, the money would become available if it was a good curriculum, and I'm sure Geisinger, at least in the past, was certainly interested. I know physicians personally that said, if I can do anything, let me know, if I can help in any way. So if you think about it, what's really the most important thing in life in terms of, of your existence, your whole life, is your health. So the end point would be to get students to think differently about their health. They have to understand that they are the ones that determine their health, not the physician, not the parents. If they're fortunate and they're in a good home and the parents teach them all these things about nutrition and sleep and stress and all that, they're very fortunate. But even in the best of homes, that's not always the case. So where else can it be taught but in the school system? Geisinger and Danville has a great opportunity, and I think in Kaiser, I'm sure would be in the same boat. If you have a health system that sells health insurance, wouldn't it behoove that system to have healthy patients and not come in for treatments? If they're healthier, the system makes more money because people pay insurance, but then they don't have to go in and get care. So in that terms, it's good for those types of systems. But for the individual, and what degree do you want to teach students about their structure and function, their anatomy and their physiology? Well, to a degree, only that that they understand that what they do has an effect on their health. What they can do to stay healthy. What can be more important than that? So I mean, I can talk on this I've gone over this so many times. I can talk for hours on it, and I can be more specific. But I think that it's a void. If you look at education and you say, well, we learn math and we learn science and we learn algebra and all these other things, but what do we learn about our own bodies? That's really important. Your health, not only your mental health. There's a big push for mental health, and that's very important too. But physical health is also important. All those things that we see in elderly people with their chronic diseases, most of those diseases can be ameliorated or completely passed by. They're not necessarily age-related. They're choice-related. The foods that you eat, what you drink, your exercise, your sleep, your stress levels, all those things are important. But you have to get students to the point where they understand that. So you can tell somebody, don't do this or don't do that, and you can tell them 100 times, but they do it anyhow. But when they understand and they see the outcomes, if they see a chest X-ray and they see what a chest X-ray looks like on a chronic smoker compared to a healthy one, that sticks in their head. If they see someone comes in and talks to them and says, this is what happened to me, I had my larynx removed because I was a smoker. Or someone that was on drugs and comes in and talks to the students and say, look what happened to me. Now I'm clean, this is what I did. So it has to be enforced, it has to be sequential, and they have to hear it all the way through the grades so it becomes part of how they think. And that's what the goal would be. Change the way they think about health, that they have control, and that their bodies are an incredible healing machine. If you give it what it needs, you can stay away from the hospital, stay away from the doctors. It's great to have a great health system, and we have the best in the world. But we're not focusing on educating students about their bodies and about what it takes to stay healthy. And if we do that, and if we do that in Danville, this could be a first. This could be a place where it could start, and it can go to other districts. But it's not done, as far as I know, anywhere on a basis where it goes from K through 12, and it's tiered, so that what you learn in one grade, it's built on the second grade, and so on all the way through. By the time you graduate high school, you understand how the body works. You understand what happens if you make the wrong choices, because you've seen it, and you've heard people talk about it.
Bob, you're talking about collaborating with Geisinger, you said?
I'm sorry?
Did you say that you're talking about collaborating with Geisinger on a plan of some type?
I have in the past, and they were interested.
Mhm.
In fact, this all started before COVID. My talking to Dr. Rue, the CEO. We had meetings. We had Mrs. Rue came to the meetings. We had the Danville Health Alliance. We had physicians. We had maybe 10, 12 people. We had several meetings. And then COVID hit, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So if people think that it's really important, then get behind it. Because this could be, there's an opportunity here in Danville to be exceptional in this area. And it's not happening, as far as I know, anywhere. They touch on it here and there, but it's not a system where they say, this is our curriculum from K through 12. And this is how these kids are going to learn about their bodies. And I got in my soapbox, but I've been on soapbox many times, and I've talked to many people about this, and they all feel the same way. Everyone that I've talked to about, anyhow. So is it important enough to consider? I think it is. How it could be done, I don't know, but I know it could be done. It could be embedded in, I mean, even different subjects. Like for example, math. You can take health and put it into English, in an English curriculum, in a science curriculum. You could put it in just about every curriculum. It can be embedded. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I think it's very important. And we don't do it in this country. Just look at the health of the people. Look what's happening in our elderly population. The people that got COVID and died were people that had poor immune systems and they had comorbidities. If your immune system is not good, if you're not giving your body what it takes, what it needs, and your immune system is weak, when you get a new virus or you get an infection, you have a problem. You got to keep your immune system up. That's all part of this health. People need to know all these things.
So Dr. Umbriak, it's a fairly complicated process because there are many things that the state mandates which we teach surrounding health. And the Danville District does have an extensive health program which teaches the things that a state are mandated. In order to create something else, you and I have discussed this a little bit, you need money, you need a curriculum, and you need time. And so we can start to have those discussions surrounding those things, but we currently don't have money, curriculum, or time, so and time in the school day. So we would have to do some deep thinking about where all those things come from. Curriculum just doesn't appear de novo. It requires hundreds of thousands of dollars to create the kind of curriculum that you're sort of thinking of. So it can't be that the curriculum is created first, because the district certainly can't afford to dump that kind of money into creating that curriculum. And also from your vision, it sounds like you're thinking about completely revising every single thing that we do within the context of the system. That is not a small change. And so for those things, we would need to start to think, and actually I'm not even sure where we would need to start to think about it, but what would you like to see as the starting point from your perspective?
Discussions.
So what does that mean concretely for you?
Well, first, if people feel that it's important, okay, if you feel it's important, then how do you bring this along? There are some, I think even Kaiser is involved with some schools out west with health curriculums. But if you think about where we're at right now, I know we touch on health here and there, but to formulate a curriculum, you would need expertise. You would need to get people together, and there's curriculums out there that can be at least looked at. And I realize you can't. I understand you can't just get a curriculum and say, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to delete this. But there should be some ways that that somehow this can be started, talked about, and phased in, and probably just in steps over time.
I'm wondering if a concrete next step, and I don't want to overstep here, because Mr. Umbarek, may have a different first step, but maybe to bring to the board what the state standards are for health and for science, because there are state standards K-12 in health and in science K-12, so that the board could be aware of what the state mandates and we're already covering in our K-12 classrooms. Because I think that I certainly respect your opinion, but some of the statements about us not teaching particular topics are not necessarily true, because we are covering the state standards in those areas. So that might be a good first step, is for us to just be educated on what those are.
Well, my point is, health issues they're touched on here and there in different courses and different grades. I'm talking about a curriculum that really builds on previous knowledge and covers everything throughout the whole 12 years. And I understand that it would be a difficult thing. But as far as standards go, the standards only mean that you have to meet this standard. They don't say you can't go above the standard. You have to go to the standard, but you can go above the standard also.
I would certainly agree. I just thought it might be helpful for us to have a basis of collective knowledge of what the state of Pennsylvania is asking us to do and what we're doing in our classrooms, to understand where like you're talking about there potentially being gaps. That might help us better understand what those gaps are. I'm just throwing that out as maybe a first step suggestion.
I think that sounds like a good first step.
Yeah, see what we're already teaching and see what we may be missing. We have no ability to, I'm too loud with this. We don't really have any ability to deviate from state standards.
Right.
We can add, supplement,
Sure.
but we have to at least
But we
teach
need to
them,
do
so
those, yeah.
see what we already have.
And although you can exceed, I would certainly say that the state standards, not just in a science or health area, but are fairly rigorous. So Pennsylvania has done a nice job of laying out a framework for students. But I think that could be a starting point, because some health things are covered through sciences. And so I could bring those and share those with folks in May.
Does that sound like a reasonable starting point for you?
Yeah, you have to start somewhere.
Any other board concerns from board members?
I have one real quick question, I hope. What is the role now of the committee heads in preparing the agenda monthly? Do they have a role in this? Is this, I know this is new, going back to committee of the whole. Is this something that there's going to be collaboration within? And I don't think we have a head of the academic affairs anymore,
We don't,
do we?
currently.
Okay. So is that how this is going to be done moving forward, or are the committee is essentially obsolete now?
What I did for the first one was to reach out to the academic affairs committee as a whole, because we didn't have a chair.
They don't have a chair, right.
And reach out to the other chairs to ask for items that they wanted to see on the committee of the whole agenda,
Okay.
and then organized the committee of the whole agenda by committee category,
Right.
so that committee chairs
saw
were
that.
still selecting the items, and then if I had additional items, just sharing them out with the committee chair. So that we've just done one. I'm happy to go in a different direction, but I did reach out the way that I used to for committee meetings.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what direction we want to go. And if we're going to deviate from what we're doing now, we probably should wait till the next fiscal year anyway and just work our way through it and figure out what the role of the committees are. I was just kind of curious at this point whether they had any role at all. Just a question, that's all.
I mean, I think right now it makes sense to leave the committee heads in place and allow them to set the agenda for the committee of the whole.
Right.
And that if it becomes necessary, they can call an individual committee meeting if that's what they feel that they need to do, because something isn't discussed in that context. And so leave some degree, while trying to satisfy the previous complaints that, everyone wasn't hearing everything.
Yeah.
This still allows people who are more interested in the individual subcommittees to have some continued influence and power over what's discussed. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense. I'm not looking for a vote here, but does that sort of as a straw poll make sense to everyone? And if we want to reassess as time comes on, we can reassess that as we see how it works. I mean, once again, this is all fluid. I mean, we're seeing how committee of the whole works as well. So there's a lot of moving parts that are going on.
Oh, that's good.
Is that okay?
Yep,
by
that's
you?
what I was looking for. Yep.
All right. Anything else? Go ahead. Now's your time, Tyler.
I did have a tiny thing.
we were sort of joking, I think, on the way in about consent items, and I wondered if there is a way, this is not my job, I know you guys talk about the agenda, the voting agenda, but I wanted to know if there's a way to simplify it even more than what it already is. I don't know the exact rules that go into this has to be brought out on its own, or this has to be consent, or if there even are, but I didn't know if that might make things go smooth. Like the personnel votes or some of the items that where it's like 11.1 through 11.12, if there's a way to do something similar to that in other areas that might simplify. Folks can always still pull it out, right, if they wanted to talk about it, but just trying to think about a way to make it more efficient.
About lumping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen districts do it in multiple different ways where they've essentially had all the items broken out and then said, okay, we're going to take 11.1 through 11.13. Is there anyone that wants to pull an item out?
Right.
I've seen other ones where they've created for personnel just an entire personnel item that includes everything, and they've improved that as one item. I've seen other districts where they've made a wholly separate consent agenda that includes multiple different sections, which are regularly conducted business, like contract agreement, personnel, and then they've had for those truly like unique items where they have that
Right.
outside of that consent agenda. So there's no hard and fast rule. I mean, you could have the agenda as it's listed here and have somebody say, I want to take all of the items
Right.
under, academic affairs.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that necessarily, but something to make it more efficient. And this doesn't need to be discussed, I think, here. We could discuss it at the meeting of the whole, but just an idea that I wanted to propose to try to streamline this even more.
And just so you know, it's not, we wouldn't necessarily have to do that, but we've sort of followed the protocol of like when you see in personnel, if money is being spent,
Right.
that it's its own item.
And if that's how we want to keep it, that's fine. I just wanted to, to try to streamline things. Yeah. That's it.
There you go.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for bringing it full circle for us.
I appreciate the closure. I appreciate it. 15-1, public comment, max 3 minutes. All righty, 16-1, adjourn.
Motion.
Sounds good.
Aye.